in prayer, but will also financially get behind it, because from the angle I'm trying to describe, he really is the only game in town. And we desperately need it in these last days. Can I get an amen to that?
Spiritual values, moral issues, government, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon Howse.
And welcome to the broadcast on this June 17th, 2025. Joining me today is going to be Anni Cyrus, born and raised in Iran, and our reporter on the ground in Israel, Aaron Lavarco. It is very fluid moving here, the information, and it is getting hard to nail down because some people say one thing and then they turn around and say another. So it's getting very confusing, my folks, and the MAGA coalition seems to be now split right down the middle. And maybe that's what the deep state and the military-industrial complex wanted all along. Get America involved in a war in the Middle East and split the MAGA movement even before the 6th-month anniversary of President Trump's second term. And what will that do to the rest of his agenda? And now, of course, we have reports that America may be indeed getting more involved as ships and planes and refueling aircraft are being moved into the region. We also have threats against the Strait of Hormuz, which could mean quite a bit for energy prices. We'll get to that. And who is really running Iran right now? A lot of their leaders, they're dead. And the quote, supreme leader, end quote, Khamenei apparently is hiding in a bunker that Annie reported last night is very vulnerable. She said that's a very vulnerable location to be in. He won't live very long if he pops his head up. He's going to be very vulnerable trying to get out of there. And now President Trump says we know where he's at, but we're not going to kill him for now. So who's running Iran? Anni Cyrus, she's written an article. She says it's now the IRGC running Iran. And what, if anything, will China, Russia, North Korea do in this expanding conflict in the Middle East? And how does it all fit into Bible prophecy as well? Joining me now are Anni Cyrus and Aaron Lavarco. Guys, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Brannon.
Let's start with you, Aaron. It is 9:03 at night, correct, there in Israel tonight?
Correct. Yes, it is.
And tell me what's the latest coming out of your country?
Well, right now, we've got dozens of our jets that are attacking Tehran. Interestingly, the number of missiles that have been fired upon us are actually decreasing. Over the last 4 days, the numbers have started 200, 100, 75, 30 or 40. So the numbers are decreasing. That's because we're blowing up installation plants. We're attacking their capabilities. So that doesn't mean that our sirens haven't been going off. We are still on edge, of course, but right now we took a pounding in Tel Aviv again. Buildings were destroyed, and people were suffering from shock, and some elderly were suffering from trauma. But yeah, we're very much on our edge, watching mainly our Air Force fighting. And of course, we're waiting now to see the maneuvers from the Americans, who are now starting to, Donald Trump is starting to talk more and more about sending his perhaps troops, not just Air Force. But the latest big news is that there's talk of the 30,000-pound bombs being sent over on B-52s and dropping them on the Fordow nuclear spot. However, there's concerns that it could cause nuclear fallout. So there's a lot of talk going on. And then, of course, the big news of the letter of Mike Huckabee to Donald Trump as well. So we're following that news. But right now, we're just trying to get updates about how these missiles are getting through, destroying buildings, and we're trying to defend our people as much as possible. But we're also looking at how the numbers from the Iranians are decreasing. And then today, Benjamin Netanyahu and our defense team are saying probably another week at this level, and we could have it all finished. So I don't know exactly what they mean by that. We're not talking about a nuclear, I'm sorry, we're not talking about a regime, or they weren't talking about a regime change. They were talking about cutting off the main sources of the Iranian regime's power.
Well, let's hold right there for a second. We have the ambassador of Israel to the United States saying, if you thought the pager attack was a big deal, that is going to pair in comparison. It's going to be very small in comparison to what's coming Thursday or Friday. Listen to what he had to say.
A number of surprises. When the dust settles, you're going to see some surprises on Thursday night and Friday that will make the beeper operation almost seem simple.
Almost seems simple. Any hint as to what that is, Aaron?
Haven't got a clue, but I'm excited.
All right, let's go over to Annie. Annie, you've got a new article out today. The Supreme Leader just surrendered his throne. You predicted this on our network during Brannon Howse Live a couple times the last few days.
Yes. So it has been announced, not by the regime, but Iran International is my main source, but a Supreme Leader decided to give majority of his power to IRGC's Supreme Council. That might be a very new word to your audience. IRGC's Supreme Council was put together or in place in 1980 by Khamenei, the previous Supreme Leader, when for times of war, basically. So if the Supreme Leader decides to hand over power, he has the right to do that, which he just did. Technically, it's the military coup, but volunteered by the Supreme Leader. So officially, Iran's ruled by IRGC now, or better yet, IRGC's Supreme Council. Also, from now on, whatever military action is taken will not be followed by Sharia Supreme Leader. It will be followed by Islamic generals. I can break that down if it's needed, Brad.
Yeah, go ahead, do it.
Okay. So, for example, until 10 minutes ago, people like Tulsi Gabbard kept saying, Iran's not even trying to make a bomb because they're following the fatwa or judgment of their Supreme Leader. And yes, in 2003, Khamenei came out and said, we will not build nuclear weapon because it goes against Sharia. However, as of 10 minutes ago, the judgments and fatwas by the Supreme Leader are completely off the table. Everything's off the table. Now it's Islamic commanders following every step by Sharia put in place by Muhammad. Behead him, slaughter him, kill him, take him captive, whatever is in Sharia book is now on play, as far as the military and governance of Iran applies.
So, Donald Trump has now basically thrown his DNI under the bus, Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. He said, I don't really care what she's saying when it comes to the fact that Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon yet. I think they do. So did Dr. Peter Vincent-Pry and many, many others. I think even the former CIA director, James Woolsey, believed that as well, according to Pry. But President Trump kind of threw her under the bus last night on Air Force One, did he not?
Yes, he did. He definitely did. But I'm not a Tulsi Gabbard fan. I have never been. I from day one, I said she's going to turn against us. And But however, as far as throwing her under the bus, this is not a new move by President Trump. He tends to do that when things start to work against him. Mm-hmm. And since you said President Trump, I just want to mention something. I have not had the chance to even post this yet, but I want to tell my fellow Americans as much, we love our country, no question about it. And as Brannon said, we give grace to President Trump when he does something right or when he does something good. But please don't fall for the whole copying code by code of Netanyahu today. We know where Khamenei is, but we're not targeting him today. He's an easy target. These are word by word what Netanyahu has been saying for the last 3 days. So cheer him when he's doing something right. But I've seen online people are like, look, he's calling for Khamenei's decent. He's not. He's literally copying whatever was said by Bibi Netanyahu for the last 3 days.
As soon as he comes out, is made. Fox News had the headline. Let me get actually took a picture of it as I went through the room and saw the TV was on. And the headline by Fox was, Trump, we have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. What do you mean?
Exact sentence Netanyahu said 2 days ago.
What do you mean we? I didn't realize we were involved in anything. I thought we were not involved. I mean, we have been told so many different things by this administration that if this were another administration, the loudmouths on social media would be screaming and hollering. But no, they're not, because they're more committed to their clickbait and MAGA movement than they are putting out good information. But they would be screaming and hollering any other administration where you're into now day 5 and the president has still not addressed the nation. But Bill O'Reilly is texting with him, and Bill O'Reilly is spilling the evidence of those talks. But the president of the United States has not addressed the American people, but has time to text with Bill O'Reilly. That is insulting to the 77 million people that voted for him, and frankly, those that didn't vote for him that are taxpayers.
Exactly, and if I could add, Brannon, I feel like huge part of nothing being said is in America, the mindset is quote unquote the bigger picture. A majority of Americans are just focusing on, are we going to go to war or not? There is way more factors involved than are we going to go to war or not. The after effect, the behavior of the leader that we call leader today, all of that needs to be analyzed. We can't just brush over Trump because his name is Trump. Again, I'll name names. If this was Obama, right now, right from the right side, conservatives, he would be named every name in the book if he treated the country the way Trump has treated the country.
By what? By not talking to us? By flip-flopping? By being contradictory in his social truth statements, or what?
Flip-flopping. Mainly by flip-flopping. You know how quickly they would label Obama for flip-flopping? That he's part of the regime, he's getting funded, the Qatar money is behind him, all of that would roll right in. But because this is Donald Trump, we focus only on, are we going to war or not?
Well, you know what I see, Brannon?
Yeah.
You know, Anni, what I see, maybe, could it be that Donald Trump, he's allowing Bibi to do the tough work, he's got our back, and he's sending over a couple of B-52 bombers with 30,000-pound bombs. He's going to drop them, and he's going to ride into Iran, filling up that vacuum that's going to be created by the fall of the regime, and he's going to ride in like the Messiah.
Oh, boy. And, well, hold on right there. Annie and guys, hold on. The hard break. Computer's going to take it away. We'll pick it up. We live in uncertain times. In fact, we live at a time when our own governments all over the world are warning us that there could be big problems with our power grid. World War III seems to be right on the horizon. Let me ask you this. Do you have a satellite phone? Should communications go down with cell towers? Do you have a satellite phone to get a hold of that college student or your spouse who travels, whatever it might be, to get a hold of your senior adult parents? We have satellite phones at worldviewtalk.com, and you get the satellite phone for free when you sign up for their very reasonable payment programs for the service. Sign up for the service with a reasonable contract, get the satellite phone for free. worldviewtalk.com. You'll also find they have, well, what I now have, which is a solar generator. Yeah, I have a gas generator, an LP propane generator, but what if that goes down? I want to back up to my backup. So I now have a solar generator as well. You'll find them at worldviewtalk.com. Check it out today, worldviewtalk.com. Welcome back. Glad you are with us. Worldview Radio, our website, worldviewradio.com. Worldviewradio.com. We're joined by Aaron Levarco, our reporter on the ground in Israel. We send him regular love offerings so he can be with us all hours of the day and night. If you appreciate that, we appreciate your support. Worldviewfoundation.com. Worldviewfoundation.com. You think we'll have plenty to talk about at our fall conference, our 22nd annual national conference coming up Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th. I think we will. What a lineup we have. Full details at worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com. Don't forget about our Thursday night optional foundation banquet with keynote speaker Hedia, born and raised in Iran. No, her parents were from Iran. She came over here, was born here. But her family has known the prince for a long time. Pictures of him in their home we showed on TV the other night. She worked in the State Department. She even let out to us the other night that she actually traveled and met with Gaddafi. I'm like, she's got so many stories she hasn't told us. She's got some fascinating stories having worked in the intelligence arena. She's a former Muslim, became a Christian, goes to Jack Hibbs Church, and she'll be with us on that Thursday night, October 2nd, if you'd like to join us for that banquet. All the details are at worldviewstore.com. Joining me now again is Aaron Levarco and Anni Cyrus of liveuptofreedom.substack.com, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. Okay, Anni, you want to respond to Aaron that maybe Trump's waiting? Reason I have a problem with that, Anni, is because he's said so many different things and contradictory things that I don't know if he really knows. I mean, 1 minute he wants to negotiate, now he doesn't want to negotiate. 1 minute no, we're not going to kill Gaddafi or Khamenei, and then the next minute it's like, well, we're not going to kill him yet. So, I mean, I don't know. It's getting hard to keep up here. But go ahead, respond to what Aaron's maybe saying could happen.
So I agree with the ending part of what Aaron said, that he's gonna try to write in there as the Messiah. However, the flip-flop is exhausting. By the way, for your audience, so stay tuned. This afternoon, I will be releasing another 7-minute, not a documentary, but expose in full English subtitle about exactly where Trump is standing with Iran today. Now, flip-flop has gone from, I don't want a deal, I want, I think he said unconditional surrender.
He actually put that out in one tweet. Unconditional surrender, all in one word.
And that tells me, that's why I agree with the ending statement that Aaron made. Now he realizes, wait, this war is over already. It's over. I need to keep face. I need to stay the hero, because he knows for a long time he was Iranian people's hero. He knows that. He knows his pictures were being shown in Iran and notes of "come save us, make Iran great again." He knows he's losing that. So the narrative is, first of all, he comes out and repeat everything Netanyahu has said in the last 3 days, claim credit that he's saying it now, including, I mean, I think the only person who didn't know where Khamenei is before Trump's statement was probably, I don't know, some hippie in the middle of Italy getting drunk.
So where he's at right now, you told us last night, is in a bad spot. Why is he in a bad spot where he's hiding?
Well, help me with the English word, geography, location of where he's at. 12 minutes away from that very location yesterday, Israeli military shot down, what was that thing that transfers the missiles? You told me last night. I forgot the English name.
Oh, the launcher, the missile launchers.
They shot down missile launchers 12 minutes away from his bunker. The moment he comes out of that bunker, no matter how they coordinate the bunker to the next location, which would have to be one of the safe borders. Safe borders might possibly be maybe Turkey. I don't know, but okay, even Turkey safe. Within 45 minutes from the bunker to the safe area Israel has clear air space, not Trump. Israel, for the record, we have no control over the sky of Iran. The IDF does. So within that 45 minutes, he's out. They're going to take him out. He has, in any direction from his bunker, any direction from Lavizan, there is a 45-minute complete clear sky that Israeli military has proven to keep targeting. That's why it's a very there is no way they can get him out of there. And with what happened now, last night I claimed, or I said, they did this, they put him there to force his hand to give power to IRGC. And guess what happened this morning? He gave power to IRGC. They buried him.
What are your thoughts here, Aaron?
You know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of Assad when his days were up and numbered. Do you remember what happened the moment that Assad's regime fell? Israel came in and blew up all the military sites, the airports, the runways. Not long after that, Assad ends up in Moscow, in Russia. And the word out on the street is that Israel allowed Assad to flee on the condition that Assad would give them information about where all the ammunition and sites and runways and airplanes, and that's how Israel were able to do that. And I don't know, I doubt if the Ayatollah would do that to his own people in Iran. Anni, what do you think? I doubt if that will happen, but
Khamenei would give all information in a heartbeat, and if he didn't, both his son would have spilled their guts. Both of them.
Really?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. This was another news we broke on your show last night, Brannon, that his office members, like Chief of Staff and I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name. Anyways, it is on my Substack for anybody who wants to get the full picture. But they're already on the phone with Russia, Aaron. Confirmed that they're on the phone with Russia. And that was my biggest confirmation. IRGC is about to take power. Because IRGC has no loyalty to Khamenei or Ahmadinejad or Pezeshkian. IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Khomeini put them together to defend and protect Islam across borders. They're not even loyal to, that's why they're not going to last long. Iranian people won't listen to them. They won't obey them in any shape or they know the loyalty of IRGC lies only and only with Islam. No person, no human, no borders, nothing. That's why they buried him to take control. They were getting frustrated from his soft responses.
Interesting.
So what does that mean? What does that mean for America, you think, Annie? If they're tired of his soft responses and they're feeling like, they're about to be toppled completely, do you think they activate any terror cells around the world or in the U.S.? Or what is your thoughts there?
You read my mind. Yes. That's why on the article that on the Substack I put out, I said the West needs to wake up immediately. Things changed very dramatically from last night to today. If IRGC Supreme Council is in charge, now mind you, we know, Brannon, you have covered this over and over. IRGC is not only now in charge of Iran. They have been in charge of Hamas. They have been in charge of Houthis. They have been in charge of Hezbollah. They have been collaborating with Taliban. The big boss just became a biggest boss. They can issue jihad now. They don't need the supreme leader to stamp on it anymore because he just handed over the throne. So yes, things could be very different, not just for America, but for any country that is against Iran or against Islam versus the Islamic jihadists.
And can I just tabletop exercise something for a minute? If it comes out that President Trump is throwing in not just offensively but offensively with Israel, and IRGC is in charge, and they start awakening terror cells around the world, and if they do so here in the U.S., and now we have our own October 7th in America. President Trump's popularity in his own party will plummet like a rock. And the world will not only turn on President Trump and Americans, but they'll turn on Israel. and you're going to see the demise of Israel in a lot of ways from a PR standpoint, as well as Donald Trump at the same time. And the only one that wins on this one at the end will be Israel if they come out of this, dealing that with Iran. And then Donald Trump is impeached probably by his own party members, some of his own people, because there's some Republicans up on Capitol Hill, they're screaming and hollering. So this whole thing could be bad at so many different levels. Now I'm just doing a tabletop exercise on this. Yeah, Aaron?
Brannon, what you've just said is like, wow. That is potentially where this could be going. I can see that, as you were saying. I hope that's not how it works out. But my question is could not Trump, along with Israel, go after the IRGC, even without the supreme leader?
All right, let's ask Anni that. Anni, first respond to my tabletop exercise and then his question, please.
Well, your tabletop exercise, if you remember, about a week ago or so, Brannon, me and you were off air on a phone call, and I told you what the plan is with his impeachment and how J.D. Vance is going to be installed by January of next year. And another reason I would say
but to fully do that, you'd have to add the October 7th style attack that the media will then exploit. Can you imagine if we have an October 7th attack? Now, then can you imagine the boomerang? You thought we had anti-Semitism with what was going on in Gaza. Wait till this happens in America and they hang it around the neck of Donald Trump and Israel, Anni.
Yes, here's the thing. As it is right now, you can see on social media, especially on X, that it's repeatedly just one sentence being tweeted. Remember, Israel started it. Remember, Israel started it. And I have taken on, whenever I have a minute to have a cup of tea, I'm there replying, no, Israel didn't. Iran did in April. Because the delay Trump caused in retaliation has caused Americans to forget that Iran directly attacked Israel in April.
Well, he also hasn't gone to the podium in 5 days. Now, you tell me Barack Hussein Obama would not have walked his long legs down that red carpet from the White House into the East Room and given that speech and read that prompter as suave as he could do it and turn around and walk off. He would have done it by now. He would have done it. I know. We watched him for 8 years. 5 days now and nothing. We're getting information from Bill O'Reilly saying, I texted the president the other day and he said this back. And I'm like, really? Really? This is not presidential. This is not educating the American people, not bringing them along, not briefing them. Look, you got to not only try to win the hearts and minds of the Iranian people to trust America, you got to win the hearts and minds of Americans. He's not winning hearts and minds. Not when he's throwing his own D&I under the bus.
Let me quickly defend him for a minute. Surprise. I kind of feel like he doesn't mind not doing it. Why? I'll wrap up before that. Because people keep saying, trust Trump, trust his plan. We don't need to know the details.
So they're buying into the QAnon, trust the plan. So why do I need to talk? I'll just have everybody trust the plan, which there isn't a plan. It's changing, which is why you got all this flip-flopping like a guppy. But the mindless drones will just trust the plan, like QAnon says to do. Come back, we'll get a response from Aaron and from Anni. And Anni, I want to further get into this idea of an attack, because now we have the Secretary of Russia's Security Council landing in North Korea. We'll be right back.
But with Brannon, it's always cutting edge stuff happening in the world. And it's not just from the political angle, because you can get that on other platforms, but it's always from the biblical angle. So you're dealing with a guy that loves Jesus. You're dealing with a guy that's very intelligent. you're dealing with a guy that is cutting edge conservatism, and you're dealing with a guy that wants to be biblical all at the same time. And so for that reason alone, I hope many, many people will not just lift up his ministry in prayer, but will also financially get behind it, because from the angle I'm trying to describe, he really is the only game in town. And we desperately need it in these last days. Can I get an amen to that?
Glad you're with us. So the idea is, well, don't talk, because he's got a lot of the mindless drones just following him and believing that there's a plan. Just trust the plan, right? Well, there's no plan. If there was a plan, he would have his administration on it. Pete Hegseth, God bless him, I like Pete, but he was out there threading the needle like a skilled surgeon the other night, trying to make sure he maintains his credibility, I would think, in my opinion, for book deals and speaking engagements. Because if he doesn't thread the needle right and looks like he's been a part of something that was against what was the promise of the campaign, no more wars, no foreign wars, then he's tainted. A lot of these people, by the way, nobody's going to want to book them to speak at, your rubber chicken banquet dinners they bring in with speakers. No one's going to want to read their books, so there go the book deals. So a lot of the MAGA world that is not for all of this, you can see the uncomfortable body language, I think is what I'm seeing. But there is no plan. He doesn't even have his own administration on board to a plan. And he's throwing his own DNI under the bus. Someone that Trevor Loudon and many others said, I think Annie, one of them, don't pick her. Don't pick her. She has too many questionable background and associations with reported socialists and those kind of people. I'll tell you who has the plan. The Crown Prince. He's the one with the plan. And he has just addressed the people of Iran. I quote, all it takes now is a nationwide uprising to put this nightmare to an end. May I be with you soon. End quote. He's the one that has a plan, working with a lot of Iranians in country and out of country. And I was suggesting, a month ago, Annie, that President Trump bring in the Crown Prince and put him in a chair, one of the yellow chairs in front of the fireplace, and send that message. You broke the story last night that the Crown Prince, his daughter, the granddaughter of the Shah, you broke the story. She just got married over the weekend, and she married a Jewish gentleman. So to those who think, the Crown Prince is going to go put in some kind of extreme Muslim regime himself, well, his daughter just married a Jewish guy. Annie?
Exactly. Yes. And I think that is the plan. Well, not the wedding. You know what I mean. I mean. So okay. You have always told me I can be relaxed here.
Yeah.
President Trump decides to completely ignore the existence of Prince Pahlavi from 20th of January until today. And I mean ignore, like he doesn't exist. We don't acknowledge his existence. Nothing. On the other hand, President Trump tries to tell Netanyahu to sit back, relax. Here's a copy of my book. Read it. Learn how to make a deal. I'm going to go make a deal. I don't think it is so out there and out of reach to think maybe Prince Pahlavi picked up the phone, called Netanyahu and say, hey, do you remember the time of life under my father ruling Iran? And Netanyahu's like, yeah, I know, there was no bloodshed and we were working together. And, you gave us oil, we gave you technology, we sent our people to teach your doctors how to be good doctors. Do you remember all of that? Let's make it happen. And by the way, everything I just said, I'm not being sarcastic. There's another Substack that came out last night that I gave a full history of Persia and Israel from Cyrus the Great to the time when Israel was able to reclaim its land until today. And this was the life between Jews and Iranians and the government of Israel and Iran during Pahlavi king. I guess one phone call would have made all this happen. You want proof that we're allies? Here's my son-in-law to be, Bradley Sherman, American Jewish businessman. You want to actually come to the wedding too? Because I'm not inviting Trump. Okay, level of sarcasm too much. Tone it down. So yes, I think I think the plan of Prince Pahlavi is now openly, publicly talking about is exactly that. And going back to when I was responding to Aaron's guess, I was shaking my head, Aaron, when you were saying it, because Trump he could try, but he cannot walk into a free Iran claiming Messiah. He cannot. People of Iran have suffered so much. We see right through the smoke screen. We're not sheltered and spoiled like majority of Americans who just believe whatever is in front of us. No, we have suffered 46 years. Some of us in exile, some of us in having prison. We see right through who did what it took for our land to be freed again. And trust me, Trump is not on that list, regardless of what he says on his Truth Social.
Aaron, did you know that the Crown Prince's son married his daughter married a Jewish man, Jewish American businessman?
You're muted, Aaron.
I think you're muted, Aaron. Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
What?
It was Logan. No, it's Logan. He fixed it. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I did not know that. No. But I would like to just respond to Anni. Look, you're from Iran. You know the situation far deeper than me. And I would agree with you by saying Trump's not going to march in. And however, I'm going to throw this in to the table. Mike Huckabee's letter to Donald Trump, to me, that was very significant. And I kind of almost see that like, you know, for Mike Huckabee to do that, is it okay to talk about this a little bit, Brannon?
Yeah. I mean, it's all public. He put out a text. By the way, some folks are asking, what is IRGC? It's the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. Sorry, guys. We try not to use initials and not define them. Sorry for that. IRGC is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. That's the military. That's who's running Iran now. Annie's the one that's got a story on that at liveuptofreedom.substack.com. But yes, it's a very, very long, I have a hard time believing Donald Trump took the time to read that whole text. It was so long. But it was a very long text from Mike Huckabee, the ambassador to Israel from the U.S., basically saying, look, I'm your man. You sent me here. I'll keep the flag flying above our embassy. But God has chosen you, spared you the assassination attempts, to be here now, to do this. And you need to listen to how God directs you. That's what he said.
Okay. So on that point, for me, it's almost like Huckabee is changing his lane from being the ambassador. It's almost like he's taking a role as a pastor or as a Paul to Timothy or someone. It's almost like he's giving Trump almost an anointing to go ahead and do something. And I don't know what that is. And I don't know the ramifications of Mike Huckabee's letter. Personally, I think it was very significant that he wrote that. And we all know, I think we may or may not agree that to some degree or another, Trump is a believer, but what kind of spirituality does he have? We know that when he was in the Middle East a month ago, we didn't really see much of a Christian spiritual man. We saw him as a president and as a businessman. Mike Huckabee has put the spotlight on his spiritual walk. He refers to the assassination plot. I'm really interested to see when Trump is going to respond to what Huckabee wrote. I don't take that lightly. I think it's very significant. Let's see and let's pray into that. That could, in Isaiah 45 verse 1, it says the Lord Almighty has chosen you, Cyrus. The Hebrew word chosen is Mashiach, which means the anointed one. And I don't like to use that term for Donald Trump, the anointed one. But who knows, maybe God has raised him up for, in the words of Mordecai to Esther in the ancient book of Esther, which happened in your ancient homeland, Anni, Persia, maybe he has been chosen for such a time as this. Certainly Huckabee has. I'm intrigued. We've got millions of people praying for Trump, for Huckabee, Let's see, and let's pray into that. I don't know exactly how.
We got breaking news. Netanyahu says, quote, "We are changing history. I said we would change the face of the Middle East, and we're doing it. We are eliminating the evil empire in Iran that threatens our existence in many parts of the world, a moment of pride for Israel," end quote. So you can see there clearly, Annie, Netanyahu has every intention of ending this regime.
Yes, and actually, a little bit ago, I sent a short video to Logan that could be that's definitely following what you're saying, and then also answer Aaron's question from the earlier of the program, where he said, "Looks like the missiles coming our way is lesser and lesser." They hit, not just now, I sent a video probably half an hour ago, but they hit the biggest missile place where they keep their missiles. Israel just blew it up to pieces. No missiles left. Aaron, this is why they don't have missiles to send you, because your wonderful military just located where they're keeping their missiles and pretty much turned it into ashes.
And on top of that,
this is what a serious, committed goal looks like.
Yeah, by the way, Anni and Brannon, our defense minister, Israel Katz, he said there are still 10 nuclear sites in Iran, and we are going after every one of them. 10 nuclear sites.
Yes. Well, they technically damaged 2 out of the 10, fairly good enough for it to be pushed back 10 years of progress.
Yeah.
So there is 8 that still needs to be addressed.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, there is concern, especially with the Fordow, I think you pronounce it, nuclear site, that by going after some of them, it may cause nuclear fallout. And this is a major concern for both Israel and the United States.
Yeah, by the way, we got breaking news out of the State Department. Annie, you're going to love this. Here we go. This is out of the State Department. Here we go.
I'm not going to characterize what President Trump says or tweets, for that matter. He doesn't need characterizing. He's one of the most transparent, one of the most clear individuals that we've known. I think that we can take his word for his word, but I'm not going to speculate on, in a larger sense, what that would mean. That is up to the president. He is the singular guiding hand about what will be occurring from this point forward, as he has been.
Whoa, what? What? Listen again.
In a larger sense, what that would mean, that is up to the president. He is the singular guiding hand about what will be occurring from this point forward, as he has been. And I think that dynamic is pretty clear. He says he wants an end, as he has said about every conflict that he has, as a peacemaker, worked to stop peacefully through diplomacy. That has been his commitment. And he wants these things, as he said about a number of situations, not for a month or 6 months, but durable ends to this nature of forever wars. And that has been his posture, and that's his posture now.
Singular guiding hand? How is that even possible? Annie, how is that even possible?
His posture looks like mine, shifted 12 degrees to the left from neck and 10 degrees to the right from shoulder, right? I don't know, maybe he's becoming a dictator. Is that what they just admitted to?
Singular guiding hand. I mean, how can he do that in the Middle East? Aaron, we'll get to that more when we come back. Wow. Be sure to stay tuned for Crosstalk coming up at 2 p.m. Central Time right after this broadcast at bcy.org.
I'll tell you one little quick story. We had a Worldview weekend client who lived in California, lost their house, very wealthy guy. He didn't use Bitcoin. He came over here, drove to Arizona, with $286,000 worth of his gold because he had no money and no house available. His bank was shut down because he couldn't have access to his bank account.
Was this during the fire? Was this during the fires?
During the fire. Didn't have his driver's license. He lost it. The state wouldn't give him a new license because he had no active mailing address. Real mess. So he came to Arizona to buy a house. He's moving everything over. He said, the only thing I got in my possession that I can get liquid with right now is my gold. I gave him a check for $286,000, and guess what? I didn't need his social, his driver's license. Sort of smiled, and I said, I know you and Brannon talked about how this worked, but boy, this is great. I feel good. I got my money. Nobody bothered me, and I'm protected, and it's private.
Just simply go to worldviewgold.com, fill out the form, worldviewgold.com. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio website, worldviewradio.com. So, let me just address something here, folks. We are not here to say what you want to hear, okay? We're not here to tell you what you want to hear. We're here to tell you what you need to hear. And I think most people in this audience, particularly those who have been listening for so many years, know that we're not bought and paid for. We're not bought for by USAID money. We're not bought for by special interest money. We're not bought and paid for by money from Israel. We are an independent organization. And we told you from the beginning, when President Trump does things we like, we will tell you what we like and why we like it. When we have a problem, we're going to tell you. President Trump is human. I am sorry for a few of you that are sending in emails to burst your bubble. He is not the Messiah. He is not perfect. Okay? He is human. He's going to make mistakes. The presidency, frankly, is too big for one person. That's how it's designed, on purpose, to be too big for one person, so that he can be overwhelmed, any president, and controlled. He's not even in full control. We all know he is not. That's why past presidents like Ronald Reagan and others have referred to the power elite. Okay? So if you can't handle the truth, then you got to look in your heart, because you're putting your faith and trust in a man. And you ought to be able to hear some criticisms about any politician and not be so offended, because that's not our job here. Our job here is not to make you feel good, is to alert you. How many of us were deceived by George W. Bush? How many? There were no weapons of mass destruction. How many times have we been deceived by presidents, Republican and Democrat? So be very careful unless you like being deceived, like being played. Donald Trump's the one that used to read the poem about the snake, which I always thought was really weird. Lindsey Graham is now saying, claiming to speak, I guess, for all service members, quote, if you ask them, would you be willing to risk your life to stop the Ayatollah from having a nuclear weapon? All of them would say yes, end quote. Really, Annie? All service members are willing to die and spill blood for Iran.
No, why would they?
And by the way, my Red Alert app is going off one after the other, Aaron. Is yours?
I know. Yes, it is. There's updates. Missiles are being fired on us up in the north, a little bit further north from where I am. I was expecting the sirens to go off, but they're not. So it's right up in the north. Haifa is the main city that's being attacked, and Haifa has a petroleum tank there. I know it's heavily guarded, but maybe that's what our enemies are trying to aim at.
Annie, can you address this issue? Some of these people, they just have made Donald Trump into being, someone that you can never question. The same thing was with the Patriot Act under George W. I would have Kirby Anderson on, and we would be saying why the Patriot Act is dangerous. People would be emailing, you're un-American. What are you, a communist? And now everybody sees what the Patriot Act is going to do and is doing. Spying on every asset of your life, everything you do, how you move. Even today in my Worldview report tonight, I'm talking about how the government is buying data reportedly from the airlines through the Patriot Act, apparently. Where you go, how much you spend, what credit card you use. And we were questioned then. Now everybody sees it. So I'm sorry that we don't think through political lenses. We don't think through popularity lenses. We think through truth. What do you make of some of these people that they come unglued if you question Donald Trump? I mean, Donald Trump questions his own DNI. Why can't he questioned Pence and most of the people around him he's questioned, but you can't question his policies? What is with that, Annie?
Well, a huge part of it is unfortunately, the cultism desire within American culture. We need to belong. We need to be a member of a club. Otherwise, life has no meaning. And when MAGA started picking up, not as a movement, because yes, let's make America great again. Let's make every country great again, for that matter. But when the actual formation of a club of MAGA started, a lot of people joined. Because before that, for a long time, we didn't have a political club where, you know, the Lord and Savior would come and put mean tweets out and talk to the people. So the previous version of Trump at his first term was very delightful. Now, a lot of these mindsets stayed with it. Now, being a survivor, I can tell you, Brannon, sometimes it is hard to see the truth and see that someone that you relied on heavily and you counted on heavily has changed their tone and behavior and mindset. That's where we're struggling right now. A lot of Americans refusing to see that this isn't Trump playing 3D, 5D, 7D, 28, 500D chess. This is Trump being in a situation that it's way over his head and he doesn't have a reliable administration to help him with it. He didn't pick the best people, again, which is a pattern. He has a habit of picking. The person he's questioning right now was his pick, Brannon. Tulsi Gabbard was his.
Who you, me, and Trevor Loudon have done a lot of exposés on, and her associations with, socialists and socialist groups and other groups.
And let's not forget, also her love and passion for Ilhan Omar. Back in 2018, calling Trump a bigot. Go ahead.
By the way, breaking news. Jordan's king tells the European Parliament, quote, Israel's expansion of its offensive to include Iran, end quote, is a threat to people everywhere. King of Jordan to the European Parliament put out 15 seconds ago. Now, Aaron, we're going to have to wrap here about 60 seconds. But I could see very quickly where this starts to turn on your nation big time.
How do you see that?
Well, he's at the European Parliament right now.
Oh, you're referring to King
of Jordan,
Abdullah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's got his own interests to take care of. He's in the middle here.
But he's over there to the European Parliament spreading this propaganda.
Yeah, he's just trying to make sure his back is covered. He's in a tight spot. He's right between Israel and Iran.
One of our loyal people. Thank you, Brannon. Number one reason I voted for Trump to end U.S. involvement in foreign wars. He needs to be called out. And that's how the majority of our audience feels. And maybe I take it more personal because sitting 20 feet away from me is my 22-year-old son. And I'm trying to do everything I can to be a voice that says, I'm not going to go to World War III and you're not drafting my kid. And if you want your kids to die overseas, go for it. Not me. Stay tuned for Crosstalk. Take care. All right, we're back. Annie, maybe that's part of the problem. A lot of these people, they don't have children. Some of them, I think, are homosexuals. So last I checked, they can't have children. Unless, of course, they're in a closeted marriage. But a lot of them don't have children. Their kids are not draft age. But even if they did, even if they don't have children or draft age, they should be thinking about other people's children. But that's the thing about Washington. Most of these people don't think about other people's children. They throw these kids into the meat grinder, and then they won't even let them win the wars. And then when they do go to war, you don't win Afghanistan. And not only do you not win, apparently you're protecting the drug trade and the opium trade over there. And then when you do pull out, you make sure to do it in a way that a lot of people die. We didn't win in Vietnam, and we could have. We could have shot planes down before they ever took off. We could have shot down and destroyed anti-aircraft missile sites before they were ever operable, but we weren't allowed to. I did a whole documentary on that. So this military-industrial complex has a tendency to go to war for regime change, for money, to cover financial collapsing, and they don't care about all the people that will come back in boxes and body parts missing. So, others, I would think, that have lived through other wars, they're older than me, would be as hyper vigilant on this as I am. But maybe they don't have a son or sons or grandsons. But they should be thinking about other people's sons and grandsons. Annie?
Well, I don't have kids either, as you know, Brannon.
Right.
I don't have kids. However, here's what I do have. Number one, as an American, I care for my fellow Americans' life. As an Iranian, I want Iran freed, and I know if America gets involved, it won't be freed. It won't. Israel has done a great job, and as we all been saying repeatedly for the last 5 days, don't get involved. Provide them what they need. Sell them what they need if they need something. And also, as someone who has not been, you can vouch for this, Brannon, I have not been wrong on calling every move of the regime since it has started.
No, you know the regime. You know the regime. You absolutely know
I know the regime. So on that note, I would very much prefer if we had our troops right here ready to defend us here in America when IRGC Supreme Council says, time to attack. You put all of that together, I'm with you. There is no reason for us to send our troops over unless, as I said, this topple is over and Prince Pahlavi and his temporary government would reach out and say, hey, we just need a few soldiers to help us with nuke sites to be protected until he builds his new military, right? Because people need to keep in mind, rebuilding Iran by culture and mindset, it's no work at all because Iranians are already over it. However, rebuilding the country as a nation of government, different departments of government, military, and all of that is from scratch because everybody in there are loyalists to the mullahs or Islam. We can't keep any of them. So that part, if they need help with our military, sure, but it's a safe zone at that point. We're not sending our kids to die. But until such time, we don't need to send troops there. And again, Aaron's right. Whomever is whispering in Trump's ear, even though apparently he's the sole decision maker, nobody's even blinking in the room right now. He needs to realize to win the crown and win his popularity back is not about sending our troops there. It's not. People of Iran prefer not a completely wiped off country handed back to them. And that's what I love, by the way, is about what's happening right now. Did Israel hit a couple of residential buildings? Yes, because they had no other choice. They're hiding in residential buildings, the head of IRGC and government. But other than that, he has targeted specific, precise locations. You look at videos coming out of Tehran, you see a lot of smoke, but you see that areas that are part of Tehran are untouched, completely untouched. What are we going to do? Go just like, but I've seen people commenting, turn Iran to a glass now. Why? Why do we have to be so dramatic, Brannon? Why is everything so dramatic about us?
We got another communication from another listener. I believe, like every other president, the second term is all about legacy. Keep being honest, brother. Well, again, we're gonna support President Trump publicly when we agree with him, and when we don't, I'm going to say so. And we have to follow what is best for us, what is best for us as a nation. And we cannot go and spill our blood overseas and fight the terrorist over there, because we were told 25 years ago we have to fight them over there so we won't have to fight them here. Remember that, guys? We got to send our troops overseas to fight them over there so we don't have to fight them here. Well, guess what? They're here because the Obama administration flew them in, let them in. The Biden administration collapsed the border and let them in. The UN helped them get here. The Department of Homeland Security helped them get here through the Darien Gap, documented by Michael Yon and many, many others. Well, now they're here, and guess what? We're not fighting them. But now they want to fight them overseas so we can send our young, healthy young men overseas so we're all sitting here sitting ducks? No, thank you. Talk to you tonight. Take care. Hello, I'm Brannon Howse. Would you like to gain access to over 20 years of my radio